So in this video, I'm going to be showing you how to remove and replace the headlamp. You know, anything might have happened. You might have had a stone go through it or something like this, or it's just in such a poor condition, it just needs replacing with a new unit. So to do that, effectively, the first thing we'd need to do is to get this central or this front section or the upper fairing off. Now I've got a separate video, so there's a link at the top of the video and there's a link in the description on how to remove this. Once you've got this off, I'll then show you how to take the headlight out from the inside. Okay, so you can see we've now got the headlamp cowl or the upper fairing, whatever you want to call it. You see we've got this on the bench now. So if you just turn it around here, so this big cluster in the middle, that's the actual headlamp section. You can see the instrument panel is still connected. So what we need to do is remove the instrument panel, which is these two screws here, and then it clips on, so we unclip it and then disconnect the cable. So that's the two screws out. So we'll just give it a wiggle and a pull. That's one side. And that's the other. You can see these two sort of round horseshoe shaped clips clip onto these two lugs here. And then finally we'll just pull the boot off, and then there's a small clip on this side we have to press in, which will allow the cable to be disconnected, and that's the instrument panel off and out the way. So we'll disconnect that, and there's one and there's two. And then the other thing we have to undo is just underneath here. If we pull this out, this is a small lamp that fits in the headlamp, so that has to be disconnected. And now we've done that, we'll undo these four screws, one in each corner, and the headlamp unit should then come loose. So these are just standard Phillips screws, they're not posi drive or anything. One, two. Remember, this one's got a small folding clip on it that holds the cable in, so remember that goes on that bottom left hand corner. And then the last one, and that's all four. Now I'll take off that screen protector for now. Let's put that out the way. Okay, I'm just slowly pulling, because obviously it will sort of have a seal, and basically these are rubber grommets and they push onto locators that pretty much look like these locators here, one on each side. So that's the ones at the top, and then same again, just pull off one at the bottom there and one there. There's the cable out the way, and that is the headlamp unit removed. Okay, so everything's in a bit of disarray at the moment, but I just wanted to have a quick talk through. Since we removed the headlamp unit, I've basically done a few other jobs, and I've got a few more little jobs that I want to do before I put it all back together. So first of all, I removed the air intake scoops, and what I want to show is, you can see that the top of this air intake looks nice and shiny, but if you have a look underneath, you can see basically it's not too bad, but it is a bit dirty, manky. Now you wouldn't normally see this part on the bike, but I'm just going to clean it anyway. However, the inside of the fairing was like that as well, so I've actually given it all a wipe down, and I've given it all a little bit of a polish and a clean up, so that's all nice and clean and tidy. This is another job I've got to do. You can see all this repair patch in this bodge that I've made. That's something I'm going to talk about in a minute and in a future video. But you can see the inside of the fairing, it's all nice and clean. Most of this you won't see anyway, but all of this part you will. So I've cleaned all of that so it looks nicer. I am going to clean, like I say, the air scoops, and on the front of the bike you have these. Let's get the other one that's still complete. So on the front you can see we have these sort of grills that are put into place. Again, you can see how manky that is, but when it's on the bike, through these holes here in the front of the fairing, you have these scoops, and you've got these little metallic grills to stop basically all of the any large debris getting into it. Well, they're removable like this, so I'm going to give these a little bit of a soak. I don't know if you can see, but they are a little chipped, stone chipped. Anyway, so I'm going to give them a soak, get rid of all the old flies and whatnot that's on there, clean them all up, and then I'm going to spray them with black spray paint, wait till they've dried, put them back in, have all of that clean. All of that's clean. Also, I haven't finished, but I've been doing a lot of work to clean everything on the back of the light, because that is visible. So that's mostly all cleaned and shined and made to all look black now. A couple of little bits to do, but then that's finished. Also, while it's out, while it's easier for me to work on, I'm going to give the plastic a little bit of a cut and polish. Now, I don't know if you can just quite see it, but I've just done this little section here, and as I move over and across, as I come across the bulb, you can see it just starts to go a little bit rougher than it is on this side here. So it's just basically to get a few of the minor scratches and stuff out of this. See, it is plastic, it's not glass, so you have to be careful with it, but just to give that a clean up, make it a little bit clearer. And then one of the other things I want to do as well is, now we've got this all off and all this is accessible, again, I'm going to remove this. I'll just rub it down slightly, and I'm going to give this a spray up, so when we're looking at it from the inside, it's all lovely and black. So I'll remove that. I'm going to remove this, and then obviously I'll be able to get in and clean all of the forks where I wouldn't normally be able to get in quite easily. So it's just to give it all a clean and a cosmetic look, you know, make it look nicer while I've got access to everything. Now, just move these out of the way. One of the other things you may have noticed while I was taking it apart, there was some scabby wiring coming out of this indicator. This was all basically from when I actually bought the bike. It came with a set of these trick stealth indicators. You know, they molded to the body shape. You couldn't see them unless they were indicating, black tinted. I've got them somewhere. I don't like them. There's two reasons I don't like those type of indicators. One of them is they're actually not as visible. They're not as easy to see for any other road user. So the last thing I want to do is be indicating that I'm turning right, make my right turn, and somebody drives into me because they thought I was going straight on. Okay, so that was one reason I decided to fit standard indicators. The other reason was, since I actually bought the bike, I became qualified as a national observer for the IAM, and so as I take associates out and I'm riding behind them so I can assess the riding and, you know, give them suggestions how to improve the riding, one of the things is they need to be observing and looking at my indicators, because I'm giving them directions left and right by using the indicators. And if I've got these little stealth things on that barely anybody can see, and it's a bright sunny day like it is outside now at the moment, then I need to make sure they can see them. So that was two reasons basically why I wanted to change them. One was for my own sort of safety issues, and the other was to make it easier for associates to see where they're supposed to be going. So I changed them, and what happened was, when the new indicators came, they had the original Suzuki plug connector that plugged into the existing plug on the wiring harness. However, on this side, they cut that plug off, and so it was just basically they just wired, twisted the wires together and put a bit of insulation tape around it, and it was pretty crap. So I fitted my own new connectors. I've got a load of connectors that I use when I'm doing various rewiring jobs. So I fitted that. I might even do one on the other side because it's a bit of a mismatch. But this, from what it was before to what it is now. Also, now I did this, said I was going to discuss this. What I want to show is this, basically the damage I've got on this fairing. I don't know whether we can see. Let me see if I get the light, if that will show any better. So you can see by the reflection, you can see a big crack. There's a crack there, and then there is one a bit further up. Get all confused there. So you can see that one at the top there. See that crack there that runs across, and then there's one a bit lower down that runs there. So the two, just turn that off. Two cracks. One here. This is quite a big one, that one there. So you can see it there in the light there. And then there's a smaller one at the top, just here. Yeah. And so basically what I've done is I've stuck various bits of tape and such like on the back here. So you can see it all here to try and stop the spread of the crack, which hasn't helped. So you can see there where the different levels of the tape are. You can see how far this crack actually goes. So in a future video, at the moment now I'm just saving to buy the product, but in a future video I'm going to repair these plastic cracks. I'm going to fill in and smooth them down, and then I'm going to basically rub the whole area down, prime it, paint it, and bring it back up to a shine, and hopefully we will have a repair that you can't see. Now I may lose this silver decal. I can get a replacement set of decals from somebody who's actually got quite good feedback on Etsy for a full set for the whole bike. But at this moment in time, that's £150 I can find better use for. I also want to get a carbon fibre repair kit, so that once I've actually replaced this and once I've actually fixed it and it's all nice and neat, I'm then going to put carbon fibre patches on the inside to actually reinforce and strengthen that. Because what I noticed on this other side, this side that hasn't been damaged, that there's nothing wrong, again it's going to be very difficult to see. What I've noticed here is that there are two splits. Now you might not be able to see it, but you can hear my nail going across it. That's one, and then there's another tiny one just there, and basically they're the start of the cracks in exactly the same place on the other side. So this is actually quite a weak point in the design with the flex, and it's cracking on its own without any extra force being put onto it. So I'll also reinforce the inside of this with carbon fibre just to strengthen this up. So that's a future job, and that's all the other little jobs that I plan to do on the bike before I put the front end all back together. So I just thought I'd let you know. Obviously you can skip that bit and move on to the actual reassembling and putting this nose cone back on. Okay, so it's going to be time to start putting it back together. So I finished polishing the headlamp lens, or the headlamp glass. So the first thing we need to do is to fix in the headlight. Okay, so the headlight, if I put it the right way around, the way that we're going to put it in, you can see on the headlight, see this rubber bung here? Okay, so there's 4 of those, 1 in each corner. Yeah, so there's 2 at the bottom and 2 up at the top. And what happens is they locate on the inside of the fairing. You can see this sort of lug that sticks out here. So there's two at the bottom, and obviously there are two at the top. So I'll just carefully line the 1 and 2, because there is flex and give in this fairing. So when you come to put these on, you might have to just twist one way or the other, or lift it up and just stretch the thing until they go on correctly. So that one's located and that one's on. So push them all the way on. And remember, this one that's got the clip on it that holds the loom in place, that goes back, on mine anyway, goes back on this bottom left hand corner. Okay, so that's all 4 of those in. Next we've got the loom. So the loom fits, so let's have a look. It will go like this. Okay, so this is the connector. This is the connector for the instrument console. This is 2 wires with 2 connectors, so that goes to the top there. And then we've got this one with 3 wires, or 2 wires, but it's got 2 connectors actually. It's got a separate one for the main beam, but that goes to there. So the cabling goes behind this lug here. This is the lug that locates into that bracket on the front of the bike. There's the other one there. So if we come underneath, remember we've got to fit this little light in the bottom of the lamp. So that goes in and then twists and locates in position. That's that one. Make sure the cabling is going to sit underneath there. Okay, so that indicator plugs into there, and the cabling goes into this little loop that we put in, and then we can bend that back, and that holds that into place, and then the indicator on that side plugs into there. Okay, so that's all of that lot in. Now what I will do is, before I actually put the air scoops in and mount it up to the bike, I'm going to plug in the main cable and just test that all the lights and the indicators are working, because the last thing you want to do is build it all up, put it back on the bike, put it together, plug it in, turn it on, and something's failed and you've got to take it all off, or struggle to work with it all on the bike. So I'm going to take all of this off. I'll plug it in now and test it now. Okay, so I plugged it in and tested it, which is lucky because I actually had a bad connection on the indicator and it wasn't working, so I've had to do that connection again, and everything else is all working fine now. So quick recap, we put the headlamp unit in over the 4 sort of locators through the rubber grommets and put the 4 screws in with the little cable tidy down here to hold the cable in place. Okay, so next thing we're going to do is we're going to fit the instrument cluster, and as I showed before when I took it off, you can see these 2 sort of clips on each side. They mount onto these. There are 2 lugs that stick out on each side with like a rubber grommet on top of them. They clip onto those, and then the 2 bolts go in through the holes into these here. Okay, so the first thing we do is make sure that we plug it in. Just plug that in, and then just make sure that the rubber boot is seated correctly and sealed all the way around. Okay, now when you come to put the cluster back on, you can see the 2 cables here. This is the main cable to the plug going into the cluster, and then there's this small connector here that goes into the headlamp. Okay, make sure that they go either side of that screw mounting point. Okay, so we just do that, and then we just locate them at the back, and then just push them on. Give it a wiggle when you're doing it. It makes it easy because they are rubber. And that's it. That was both of them then. Make sure the cable isn't trapped in any way, which is okay. And now put in the 2 mounting screws. These aren't load bearing or anything like that, so all I do is just take them up hand tight and then just give them a pinch. That's it. Okay, so that's those. Now we've got the air scoops to go back in. Now, I didn't mention how these came out, but it's basically just like the normal body clips that you see. Yeah, normally when the thing's mounted, you'll see that the pin, if you can see the pin in the middle there, is sitting flush. And all you normally do is depress it like a 1/2 a click, and you'll normally hear it click. And that releases the flares and it will pull out them. And then to put it back in, you push that pin out 1/2 a click, which will allow these flares to go inwards. And then when you push it in, it flares them out and holds it in place. Okay. So when we come to fit them, this part, the part that you see that goes through the hole, yeah, this plastic part goes around this hole here. And then this flat part here with the hole sits the other side, so it sits on the other side, and then the pin goes through, or the panel clip goes through, and then you push the pin in till it's fully seated and it's flush, and that's it in place. Okay, so we've got no cables really that get in the way on this side, but you have to watch out on that side. So we just make sure it goes in and past. Okay, one of our panel clips. So it's lined up, push it in, it's flush, and keep your thumb on the panel clip pressing that way, and make sure then you pull the air intake towards you so that they're sitting flush, connected together, and then just push the pin in. Don't know whether you heard that click. That means it's now located in place. On this side, it's the same process, but what you have to watch out for is this loom, that you don't get this loom trapped in any way. Okay, so make sure that that's out of the way. Fit it over. Make sure it's in place. Make sure the pin is sticking out, the centre pin is sticking out. Sit it flush, pull them back together and click it into place, and that's it. That's now locked into place. So now we've done that, we're ready to now fit this nose cone back onto the bike.
Okay, that's all for now. If you liked the video, then leave a like. If you didn't like the video, then leave a dislike. Either way, leave a comment, suggestion, or any questions you may have in the comment section below, and don't forget to subscribe with notifications on so you don't miss any of my future content. Once again, thanks for watching.